Alright, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and the current situation is 8% of houses have reduced their asking price over the last month, and this is the most since 2000. Credit card debt is up 20% in 3 months. We have the most aggressive rate hikes in history, and of course the Fed is hiking into a recession. China's US tensions are escalating. Inflation is at a 40-year high. We are staring off a cliff. And yet, in spite of this, markets continue to pump. Of course, we are looking forward to Wednesday when we expect to get true direction. Wednesday, of course, being the Consumer Price Index release for July. If you want to know how to prepare for the Consumer Price Index print, then go back and watch yesterday's video because I covered it all in there. Yet another exchange has halted withdrawals, token swaps, and deposits immediately. Hodlnaut has become the next exchange to have to do this. So if you're still keeping your crypto on exchanges, I don't know what more you need. Take ownership, get yourself a cold wallet. On the flip side to this, Voyager Digital has received approval to reimburse its customers. So this is great news. This is really, really good news. If you had any crypto that got lost on Voyager, you may well be able to get some of it back. So that's massive. The US Treasury has blacklisted a crypto mixer called Tornado Cash. So if you don't know what that is, it's basically somewhere you can go and a whole group of people will put their coins into something that mixes them all up, jumbles them all up, and then it makes them much more difficult to trace, or in some cases completely untraceable. And the US Treasury doesn't want that. It wants to know whose coins are whose, I guess because it wants to get its cut of taxes. It doesn't want people to be able to have anonymity of transaction. So it has blacklisted Tornado Cash, just something to be aware of. Crypto.com is expanding their Korean crypto services with the acquisitions above. You can see here Crypto.com, one of the world's largest crypto exchanges, has just acquired South Korean payment service provider PNLink and OKBit, a virtual asset exchange in the region. Speaking on the acquisition, the CEO of Crypto.com said that the South Korean market is an important market with people who have shown strong interest and adoption of digital currencies. So this is adoption. We are continuing to see adoption every day. Can anyone remember when the Ethereum merge, which is coming into focus at the moment, was supposed to be in 2016?
We are probably almost certainly going to release Ethereum 2.0 sometime around 2016 or so.
So it's been a long time coming. Fun fact, Ethereum has a larger market cap than the Bank of China. So let that one sink in for a minute. Of course, we are approaching the ETH 2.0 merge in September. The ETH merge is like changing the engine on an aeroplane whilst the plane is flying, according to NYDIG research. So be careful out there. Risk happens fast. And this is absolutely true. There's a lot of people certain that there's going to be a massive pump on this merge. I think we get a pump into it, but does it turn out to be a buy the rumor and sell the news event? Quite possibly. So if you haven't considered a downside approach, if you don't know what you're going to do, if the market were to roll over and Ethereum merge was actually to turn out to be bearish for Ethereum, then make sure you have a plan established, because just being permanently bullish on Ethereum might not be the strategy. Bob Lucas says, sorry to break it to you, there is no ETH supply shock coming. Is achieving a milestone good? Of course, that would be the merge, of course. Supply is mostly known and or predictable. I don't really agree with this statement. What's the issuance schedule and the supply over the next decade? If anyone can answer that, put it in the comments, but I know nobody can because nobody knows yet. Bob finishes by saying, therefore, what drives demand and demand to pay more is all that matters. So this remains to be seen. I will get to the targets in just a second. I've got this tweet here from Raoul Paul. He says, ETH, I think the path of pain is higher as most participants are still underweight and looking for lower entry points. And I have to agree with Raoul here. I do think that most likely, I mean, if you've been watching the channel, you'll know I've been targeting 2200 for a while, but there's a good chance we can move up significantly higher than that quickly. Raoul goes on to say, let's see, but my bigger view is the battle around 2300 and the trend channel. Usually correction channels like that don't break on the first attempt and they correct sharply into the range first. But that's something for a few weeks possibly. So we could see this up to 2300 perhaps, 2300 quite easily. Then the question becomes, do we get some sort of drop towards that end of the year, that four-year cycle low for Bitcoin? Quite possibly. But also, what would catch a lot of people off guard is just for this to break out and go. So wouldn't that be amazing? Something that could catalyze a top here is more hawkishness from the Fed short term. So if we do not get this pivot come into September, that could certainly set up for a rollover in the stocks and crypto. So that remains to be seen. However, they have announced a new $740 billion US government spending bill. Governments can't stop printing money, and they can't, and they will continue to print money, as I've been saying forever. Let's define pivot, shall we? The title for the 2022 Economic Policy Symposium in Jackson Hole is Reassessing Constraints on the Economy and Policy. And this is to be held August the 25th to 27th. So it is quite possible, as we approach the 25th and the 27th of August, they have this Jackson Hole meeting, and it's announced then that they are indeed going to pivot. Of course, if they pivot, my bias is that we see new highs in the stocks very, very quickly, and likely Bitcoin too. Speaking of Bitcoin, the Lightning Network continues to make new highs. Look at this, the Lightning Network capacity just made a new all-time high at 4,469k. Make no mistake, this is adoption, it continues to grow, and this is a trend that I am sure will continue. The percentage of stocks with an overbought above 80 stochastic oscillator surges to 71%. There is no looking back for the S&P 500 in the coming 6 to 12 months. So you can see whenever they've had one of these red dots, 6 to 12 months later, the market has always been higher. However, I do want to point out that there are a couple of times where you get these pullbacks in the short term before the market goes on to set a new high. So I do think that we have to be open to having some sort of drop, some sort of pullback before we can truly go, just to form a bigger base. But of course my bias is that we will get a pivot soon, and that pivot will catalyze a run to new highs. If you found value here today, I'd appreciate if you could drop a like on the channel. The charts aren't really doing much, and all the TA from yesterday's video still holds. So if you want to go and see what I think of the charts and the TA ahead of Wednesday's CPI print, then go back and watch yesterday's video. I will be back on Wednesday with an update on the CPI numbers and how I have changed or adjusted my positions, if at all, off the back of the CPI print. So until then, take care. All the best from me. Cheers.